Hi, welcome to Surviving Motherhood. So I've got a question for you about prayer. When you pray, what do you expect? What do you expect God to do when you pray to Him? The reason I ask that is because I was recently reading through Acts chapter 12, and I'm going to read it for you, but I want you to listen to what happens here when the people pray and what God does and how they respond. Acts chapter 12, beginning with verse 1. It was about this time that King Herod arrested some who belonged to the church, intending to persecute them. He had James, the brother of John, put to death with the sword. When he saw that this pleased the Jews, he proceeded to seize Peter also. This happened during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. After arresting him, he put him in prison, handing him over to be guarded by 4 squads of 4 soldiers each. Herod intended to bring him out for public trial after the Passover. So Peter was kept in prison, but the church was earnestly praying to God for him. Okay, that's important. The church was earnestly praying to God for him. And watch what God did. The night before Herod was to bring him to trial, Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers, bound with 2 chains, and sentries stood guard at the entrance. Suddenly an angel of the Lord appeared, and a light shone in the cell. He struck Peter on the side and woke him up. "Quick, get up," he said, and the chains fell off Peter's wrists. Then the angel said to him, "Put on your clothes and sandals," and Peter did so. "Wrap your cloak around you and follow me," the angel told him. Peter followed him out of the prison, but he had no idea what the angel was doing was really happening. He thought he was seeing a vision. They passed the first and second guards and came to the iron gate leading to the city. It opened for them by itself, and they went through it. When they had walked the length of one street, suddenly the angel left him. Then Peter came to himself and said, "Now I know without a doubt that the Lord sent his angel and rescued me from Herod's clutches and from everything the Jewish people were anticipating." When this had dawned on him, he went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, also called Mark, where many people had gathered and were praying. So let's pause here for just a second. Okay, Peter's in prison. The people are earnestly praying to God for him, and God releases him miraculously with an angel. This is good news, right? Well, Peter knocked at the outer entrance, and a servant girl named Rhoda came to answer the door. When she recognized Peter's voice, she was so overjoyed she ran back without opening it and exclaimed, "Peter's at the door!" "You're out of your mind," they told her. When she kept insisting that it was so, they said, "It must be an angel." But Peter kept on knocking, and when they opened the door and saw him, they were astonished. Does anything about this situation seem backwards to you? Peter's in prison. The church is earnestly praying for him. God miraculously gets him out of jail. He comes to the door, and they don't believe it's him. And then when they actually see him, they're astonished. That makes me ask the question, what were they expecting God to do? When they were earnestly praying to God for Peter's release, what were they expecting? Why were they astonished when God miraculously set Peter free? Did they think this thing they were praying about was too much for God? Did they think he couldn't handle it? Did they think he didn't care, that he wouldn't do it? Why were they astonished when they saw Peter standing at the door? What did they expect? I have been thinking about this for quite some time. I'm going to do a Bible study on it with the folks at Edgewood. And God has, all week, he's been bringing things to me about prayer, convicting my heart about what do I expect when I pray. He's leading me to pray very specifically for things, and he's showing me that he's big enough to do it. And it's wonderful. And so I just have to ask you, when you pray, when you earnestly ask God for things, what are you expecting? Are you believing that He can do it? Are you expecting Him to come through? Because He can. So I want to encourage you today. Think about those things you've been praying for that you thought, really, if you're honest with yourself, you thought maybe it was too much for God. Maybe there are some things that seem hopeless or out of reach. Would you bring those before Him? Would you confess your lack of belief, your lack of faith? Would you ask Him to give you the faith to believe that He can do what He can do? And will you trust Him? Don't be astonished when God does miraculous things for you. Just give Him praise and thanksgiving. And have a wonderful, Jesus-full day.